Welcome back everyone to another review. I'm Robbie.
I'm Jeremy.
I'm Johnny.
And Red Sparrow just hit cinema screens. We've just seen it, so here's our thoughts on it.
Morning, Mama. What is it?
I have to go away for a while.
I was told to take a man to a hotel. They said he was an enemy of the state.
Take off your dress.
And in exchange, my mother would get the doctor she needed. Instead, they cut his throat. There could be no witnesses. So they gave me a choice. Die, or become a sparrow.
Red Sparrow was directed by Francis Lawrence, and it stars Jennifer Lawrence, Jeremy Irons, and Joel Edgerton.
Yeah, the story revolves around Jennifer Lawrence's character, who is a Russian ballet dancer, and following a pretty serious accident on the stage, she gets recruited pretty much into the Russian equivalent of the CIA, and then it pretty much just all goes downhill from there. The actual CIA get involved, and there's like a massive investigation, and it's the story's pretty cool. I don't mind the story.
Yes. So let's start with the positives. I thought Jennifer Lawrence was brilliant. I mean, she's always, well, like when she commits to a role, she commits.
Yeah.
She's none of this like sleepwalking Hunger Games performance that she gave, especially in Mockingjay. But like when she, like that's one thing I had with Mother. The movie sucked, but like she is invested, and she's like that in this. She was good. Joel Edgerton was fantastic.
Oh, amazing.
The story, it's a good story. Whether it's executed well is another question, but it's a really good story, and I thought visually it was amazing.
Yeah, I agree. I thought, like Joel Edgerton did an amazing job.
He's the CIA agent
Yes,
in this one.
of course, yeah.
So
So
he plays an American in this.
He's investigating. I think it's a bit confusing at watching the film, but what he's doing is pretty much trying to find out who Jennifer Lawrence's character is.
I think so.
Because he's having dealings with a Russian operative, and the Russian government don't know who that operative it is. So they're trying to find out who Joel Edgerton's character is dealing with. At the same time, Joel Edgerton is trying to find out who Jennifer Lawrence is. So it's pretty much like a big mangled, Russian CIA versus American CIA.
Yeah, and the film doesn't do the best job of clearly conveying to the audience what's going on all the time. So that's what I'm saying. It's a good story, but it's just not done justice, really. What do you think of it?
Yeah, I mean, Jennifer Lawrence she kind of annoys me at times. Like, I don't know if it's just her or the character she plays. Here she's fine. She's a fine actor. Joel Edgerton's great, as you said. The film, it's muddled. It is muddled. Like the story, as you said, is fun. Not fun, but it's good.
It's a good story.
It's good. And for the first, I was right on board with it for the first 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And then pretty much something happens in the film, and then it just lulls for the entire until it picks up kind of at the end.
Yeah.
For about an hour in the middle there, it really just drags.
Yeah.
And
the film clocks in at 2 hours 20, and it did not need to be that long.
it's
If they could have
way
done the
too
same
long.
thing, just shave half an hour off, and it would have been a much tighter film.
Yeah.
Would have been much better pace, more suspense because it's moving a lot faster.
Yeah.
Because the things that happen here are suspenseful, but because they take so long to happen, you just lose that sense of urgency in the film.
And one thing about the location of the film, it does globe trot a bit.
But it doesn't feel like it does.
Yeah,
even.
Exactly right. Like they're in London in one bit, they're in Russia, they're all over the place. But it feels like they're in the same room.
Yeah.
Like every time they're in a room together, it feels like they're just in the same space.
Yeah.
We don't really get that sense of this is really like a global film.
Yeah, I didn't actually pick up there in London until well into that bit, and I was like, hang on, this isn't Russia.
Yeah. On that note, I had trouble actually figuring out the setting. Was there like a certain time time frame?
I actually thought of this myself.
Yeah.
I assume due to the cars, it seemed very recent. Like it seemed like it was present day. But there were points where I was thinking this could easily be set in the 90s, in the 80s, in the 70s.
And it has that kind of old school feel to it.
Yeah.
Which that did kind of confuse me a bit as well.
Yeah, the clothes a little bit threw me off. Like it seemed like old timey clothes. But then I thought maybe that's just how Russians dress. I don't know.
I mean, they do have a very kind of specific way of dressing, which does not sometimes fit into the modern world. Like with the fur hats and everything, that feels very Cold War, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
But Yeah, that's really my only problem with the film, which is a big problem. Is the pacing.
Yeah, and the
'Cause-
length.
Yeah,
like,
because I mean, I'm
sort of go side and side.
yes,
Yeah.
I'm all for a long movie if it needs to be long.
Mm.
Lawrence Raver being a classic example. It's like 4 hours long, but it needs that length, and it doesn't feel long.
This
If-
easily could have had
This-
40 minutes on it.
Oh,
easily
easily.
40. Easily
This
40.
This just there was one stage when I thought it was getting towards a wrap up, and then it was like half an hour later, and it was still.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, so that must have been like halfway through. No, that must have been like quarter way through, and it's still going. And that's
Which is not a good thing that you want to say about a film. Like, oh, this
Exactly.
is still going.
Yeah.
This is still
which really sucks because like you, I was really on board for the first 45 minutes. I was for a while I was thinking, wow, this could even top Black Panther as my #1 movie for the year, and then it just shifted so radically.
Yeah.
And then like the last 20 minutes, I was invested in the last 20 minutes,
Mm.
but because there was an hour and a half when I was just like, this is not going anywhere. Well, it is, but it
Yeah.
just feels like it's not. Yeah, it's just an unfortunate one.
I think I was on board for like the first half an hour maybe, but I found that even the very beginning was quite slow. But I was sort of adjusting to it. I was kind of like, okay, this is a slow start, that's fine. But then as soon as it started to pick up, that's when I started liking it again. So it was like, it started good, and then it was about 15 minutes. I was like, this is slow, and then the next 10 minutes was like awesome. And then it just dropped right back about another 5 minutes later. And even like the intro, like the Red Sparrow intro, came in so late. Like, did you guys notice that?
Yeah, it was like 15 minutes in.
Yeah.
Which I actually love when movies do that. Like The Departed does it. Does this huge 20-minute intro, and then the title comes up 20 minutes in.
Yeah.
And I mean that pays off though, because after the title, it just keeps getting better and better. Here, the title comes up and it just sinks.
Yeah.
But then I thought the opening with the title, that worked because it was like cutting between Joel Edgerton and Jennifer Lawrence. Like
And
the background
establishing
things
their
happening.
characters.
Both,
Yeah.
both storylines like came to this head like right at the end, then Red Sparrow. I thought that was pretty effective.
I was about to turn to you during the movie, and I was like, I love how they just presented that title.
Yeah, it was a good way
But-
to introduce the characters. It was interesting.
Yeah.
It's something we
Yeah.
don't see too much of.
Definitely, because often movies now just comes up, Red Sparrow, just start the movie.
This is
There's
really
no
this is a
delay
really
intro.
hard one because I did still enjoy the film, but I had so much negative
Yeah.
negativity towards it. Like I have so many problems associated with it that do I like it or do I think
Yeah,
did
see,
I like it?
I still like it, not as much as I thought I was going to based on that opening, but for me it's one negative, but it's a big negative that brings it down.
Yeah.
There's nothing else that really, everything else in the film I think is very, very well done. Francis Lawrence, the director, like he did all the Hunger Games except for the first one, and at times this really felt like the guy who did Catching Fire, which I thought was a brilliant Hunger Games movie.
Yeah.
And other times you could really see it was the guy who did Mockingjay Part 1 and 2, where it just lulls so badly, and it's like a mixture of the two.
Well, not to mention, I mean, Francis Lawrence also directed I Am Legend with Will
Yes.
Smith, and that was an incredible, suspenseful,
Yeah.
amazing
Exactly.
film.
But that was like an hour 40.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like you,
And he did Water for Elements as well, which I think is a bit of an underrated movie.
I think that's what's missing from this is suspense. Like there are scenes, like thrilling scenes of
It
suspense.
needed it, yeah.
But the whole build up to the end, instead of like building up and being suspenseful, it's kind of just plodding along until it kind of gets there.
It does.
That's the
definitely.
problem.
and then even when it does get there, it's like
There's no payoff because
Yeah.
we've
Yeah,
just been
exactly.
waiting so long, and the payoff is so
Like there is
slow.
something we see at the end which should have elicited a whoa moment, but
Yeah.
it didn't to
Yeah.
me. Like I saw it happen, I was like,
yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I do get why it's getting the mixed reviews.
Oh, for
because
sure.
I'm mixed on it. I'm still going to give it a bit more than the average rating. I'll give it a 3-star.
I'm gonna go 2.5.
Yeah, right in the middle for me too, 2.5.
We can't trust a word that comes out of her mouth.
There's something else we're not seeing. If she's compromised, she will be eliminated.
What have you done?
You belong to them. They'll never let you go.
I'll find a way.
Alright, that's it for today, guys. Thanks for watching. Those are our thoughts on Red Sparrow. Let us know what you thought in the comment section down below, and hit that like button for us as well. That's it for us from today, and we'll see you at the movies.